The installment method, I think, is going to absolutely change the game because it gives you full control of the property to do whatever you want. They don't have to come back again, and you're not at risk and you're not liable for any legal issues that come with equitable interest on a property. So I think it's a really powerful method that a lot of people should start utilizing and will absolutely change the game.
Welcome to Entree Real Estate, where we turn the complexities of real estate into clear, actionable steps for building generational wealth. I've invested into different types of real estate all over the United States, and I run a thriving real estate fund. Join me as we document the entrepreneurial journey of scaling businesses and transforming the lives of tens of thousands of people around the world. Let's turn your real estate dreams into reality. Buckle up, because this is the start of something truly incredible. My name is Devin Robinson, and welcome to Entree Real Estate.
Let me tell you about my new favorite method and strategy for getting properties when wholesaling. One of the big reasons why we are moving a little bit away from just normal wholesaling on its own is because of the regulations that are coming down on wholesaling. We see it everywhere. We see it in South Carolina, where they are cracking down on wholesalers, sending cease and desist on them and charging them about $20,000 per assignment contract that they have. We saw this huge lawsuit that a wholesaler just lost in Nashville, where the lady sued them because they didn't come through on what they were promising and ended up getting sued, and the wholesaler lost. The biggest issue with this is that wholesale contract is not actual equitable interest on it. And if somebody were to report you, you could probably get in a lot of trouble because of the nature of the contract. And what we did was we decided to switch to do novations. Novations are incredible. It allows you to go ahead and take the property that you had under contract, put it on the market, which typically conventional lenders, FHA, VA lenders, they do not allow assignment fees, so you can't just assign to a conventional lender on the market, which eliminates the majority of buyers in America. But with a novation, you can. The novation literally means to cancel or terminate the old contract and create a new one. Novate. Cancel the old one, create a new contract, where you would have an AB contract. You would also sign a novation agreement with the seller, a net proceed contract with the seller, all of those things. Then you would go ahead, list it on the market. You'd also have a power of attorney with that seller. Then you would go ahead and you would list it on the market. And then from there, find a buyer. Once you get that buyer, you terminate your AB contract, and then you connect the new buyer with the seller on a contract. And then you create essentially a lien on the property, where then you get paid off on the property. So almost like a release or a lien payment on that property, so that you can novate it and get paid by a conventional lender. Now, one of the biggest issues with this is that still, you don't have equitable interest to be able to sell that property on the market. And if you're using a power of attorney, you actually have fiduciary responsibility to that seller to operate in their best interest. And if you're selling it on the market and getting paid significantly more than them, which we've gotten $100,000 paydays on novations, you may not be operating within their best interest and having that in mind. So if you got sued, you could lose out of operating a POA without actually having the best interest in mind. So that shifts to the installment method. This is a method that I am a huge fan of. I just learned about it about 3 or 4 months ago from these guys in my mastermind. They are huge wholesalers in South Carolina. And what happened was they saw the writing on the wall. They saw the regulation coming. And so they partnered with this guy named Gary Pickren out of Blair Cato Law Firm down in Spartanburg, South Carolina. He's actually a real estate commissioner, and he's a closing attorney. And they came up with this patent pending product called the Installment Method, which is really cool. Essentially what happens is now instead of one closing, there's 2 closings. You have the initial closing. So what we do is you'd use a normal offer to purchase contract with your seller. Whatever you would normally do, you would use that offer to purchase contract with them. From there, you would open title with your title company, and however quickly they can clear title, whether that's 8, 10 days, maybe sooner, you will set up a first closing, an initial closing on that day, where you will actually begin the installment payments. So typically we'll put $500, $1,000 down installment on the property. So then we go to the title company with our purchase agreement, and then they run title, clear title at the initial closing. I have agreed to the seller to pay an equitable deposit, some sort of installment, whether it's $500, whether it's $1,000, some sort of deposit down, non-refundable deposit down at the closing. The attorney will create an installment contract, and then we sign that contract. Once we sign that contract, the attorney will actually file that contract and record it with the county. So now I'm legally on the title, on the deed of that property. I could do whatever I want. It's better than a memorandum because I'm actually on the deed. They can't pull out equity. They can't sell it. They can't do anything without me signing off on it now. I could put the house on the market if I'd like. I can start renovating the property because I'm not at risk of them going and selling it behind my back. So that shortens my cash conversion cycle. And one of my favorite things you can actually do is refinance the property. So if you've got a good discount on the property, you can already put a tenant in it. It's fairly turnkey. You can actually refinance the property on the purchase price, create the rate loan right there. And then instead of purchasing the property, coming out of pocket, finding a lender, finding a hard money lender, doing all that stuff, if the house is rental ready, you can actually just go ahead and refinance there. It pays off the lien from the original mortgage. It pays off the seller, almost like a seller finance note. And then you have the property and you own the property with a DSCR loan on it or a refinance loan, however you end up doing it. It's a super powerful method because it adds to the tool belt, gives you a ton of options when you didn't have the options before. It's one of my favorite things to use now, and we do it a bunch. So it's been really cool because of the opportunity that it provides us. Now, there are a couple of things that we end up doing with this. We want to make sure before we go on to the title, the deed of a property, we want to make sure that the house makes sense. So, of course, we have a threshold. It's got to be at least a $35,000 spread for us to take that risk because we pay closing costs for the initial closing to file and record that deed. And then we pay the back end closing costs if we end up selling it or refinancing it as well. And so really important for us to have those ducks in a row, make sure that it fits us well. And I didn't even mention this. One of my favorite parts about this too is the seller never has to come back to sign anything ever again. Because they've signed our original A to B contract, the attorney actually puts the deed in trust, holds on to that, and then we can actually go and do whatever we need with the property. And once we either go and sell it, we refinance it, we do whatever, they actually combine the deeds and file that. And so it's cool because they never have to come back. And that was one of the things with novations. You got to tell them, hey, you're going to see this price when you go to sign again at this second closing. This is this, and that. You don't have to do that. They don't actually see what you sold the house for. They don't come to another closing. They just come and pick up their check from the attorney on the back end of the closing. And one of the ways that we pitch this is we go, hey, Mr. Seller, you may qualify for this plan that we have. And you can pitch the same as you would a novation or anything. Hey, Mr. Seller, you may qualify for this plan. It's really cool. What if we were to pay you $1,000 up front? We can pay you that $1,000 up front. And then when we get our financing together, when we finish renovating the property, when we do whatever to it, then we'll actually pay you the remaining balance on the back end. So we could pay you the $1,000 up front, non-refundable. You do whatever you want with that. And then we'll pay you the remaining balance on the back end. It's really powerful because you're giving them money now and later. Now, another cool thing you could do is you can add on to that. You can go, Mr. Seller, what if I were to pay you $1,000 right off the bat when we go ahead and have the first closing? You'll have that in your pocket, and then we'll pay you $500 a month until we close. Or we'll pay your mortgage until we close. Or you could switch it. The terms can be however you want. Fully customizable, really awesome, and it makes your offer look significantly better than anybody else's offer because they can't offer money now and money later. So the installment method, I think, is going to absolutely change the game because it puts on the deed. It gives you full control of the property to do whatever you want. They don't have to come back again, and you're not at risk and you're not liable for any legal issues that come with equitable interest on a property. So I think it's a really powerful method that a lot of people should start utilizing and will absolutely change the game. So if you have any questions, make sure you DM me, make sure you comment below because I'd love to answer any of those questions. I learned it from Gary and those guys down in South Carolina. They have a course. You can actually click the link down below to be able to access that course and get a hold of it and have those contracts and learn more about it because I think it will revolutionize your business. There's no doubt about it. It will change the game for you. It would allow you to expedite how you build your portfolio, and it would allow you to get significantly higher spreads on your properties because now you can list them on the MLS. So I think it's awesome. I think you should check it out. If you have questions, let me know. But I hope you have a fantastic day. Peace.